Hello and welcome to today's p+log. I don't know if I'm in the middle of the camera, the frame, but yes, today is the 9th of July, 8:14 maybe at this point. My headphones are in because I was listening to a song before this started. And honestly, you may not have noticed, but I like music. And I was just listening to some songs from, back in the throwback, 2009, those are the throwback years. And One Republic, came on. And I was like, yes, finally, something I can sing to. It was after Apologize that the Alice in Wonderland song came on. I call it the Alice in Wonderland song because it talks about Queen of Hearts, and I think it was featured on the album for the soundtrack, like the way Avril's Underground song was featured. Anyways, I want to sing this part to help us be in the right mind, I guess you can say. But it starts, all the right moves in all the right places. Yeah, we're going down. It's all the right friends in all the right places. Yeah, we're going down. They got all the right moves in all the right places. Yeah, we're going down. And then it says, I know we've got it good, but they've got it made. And the grass is getting greener each day. I know I'm looking out, but something new. Anyways, I like that song because I mean it's not the only song that I heard. I'm pretty sure there was something else that I was listening to that really brought me into that. But last night I had a conversation with my dad about the decision I made, which I discussed in the last video. And one of his biggest reasons why this decision is not a good one, is because it's not a wise decision, and that I'm smarter than that. He kept saying you're intelligent, and I know people use that sort of like a way to insult, but he wasn't really persuading me. And I'm gonna share with you a verse. Overall, it's not just this verse. There are many verses that are featured in the Bible about how God uses the humble to shame the proud, and it's always He wants to use the opposite of what's intuitive, of what is common sense. And that's because He wants glory for Himself, rightfully so. And this was not something I could have understood 3 years ago. I remember when I did read it, and I even have my journals. Let me see if I can remember which one it would be in. Let me get my journals real quick. Welcome to my office, where I keep everything. So this has been my file cabinet. I have my many things. And maybe I said I would start going through my journals. I don't remember what video that was. But I guess this is the beginning. So I'm going to be reading from 2 Corinthians. And I don't remember when I was reading in 2 Corinthians and when I started putting it in here, the notes. So Romans. So this is Romans. And Romans is after Corinthians, so it's not in this journal. doubt it's in this journal. Looking anyways. Nah, I'm not looking. Let's see this red journal. Galatians. Okay, maybe in this journal. Right? See, I've been having goals to read the Bible forever. Okay. Some William stuff, though. Some William stuff is in there. See, I'm allowing this to record because this new phone can cut off. Okay, perfect. Now we're in, this is 2 Corinthians. Yes, Romans, perfect. Here we go. So, here are my notes from 2017, and I'm only opening this not because I mentioned it in my phone call. See, this is about July 5th. July 5th is when I started this journal. And it was more of a note-taking journal, just 2017. But, yeah, so I started reading a lot of stuff. Here's a sketch of my room. I wanted to design it this way. Fun stuff. Really fun stuff. Anyways, we're going to go to my notes. 1 Corinthians chapter 2. And so I'm going to be reading this. And then I'm going to read what I thought at the time. Then I'm going to say what I think now. And I think it'll be obvious what I think now because I sort of discussed it before. And I kind of mentioned it when I was talking about how my dad and how I was responding. So here it is. 2 Corinthians chapter 2, I'm going to read from verse 6, but I think I'm going to read from verse 1. Yeah. And so it is with me, brothers and sisters, when I came to you, I did not come with eloquence or human wisdom, as I proclaimed to you the testimony about God. For I resolved to know nothing while I was with you except Jesus Christ and Him crucified. I came to you in weakness. I underlined that verse. I don't know if it was because of John MacArthur or because it was important. I came to you in weakness with great fear and trembling. My message and my preaching were not with wise and persuasive words, but with a demonstration of the Spirit's power, so that your faith might not rest in human wisdom, but on God's power. And it's so funny because I did not underline verse 4. At the time, I wanted to be a philosopher. And philosopher is someone who wants to win. I mean, not that they want to win at any means possible, but they do want to persuade. Anyways, I'm not gonna continue about that because that's not the main point. So yeah, verse 6. We do, however, speak a message of wisdom among the mature, but not the wisdom of this age or the rulers of this age, who are coming to nothing. No, we declare God's wisdom, a mystery that has been hidden, and oh, you know what? I meant to be reading chapter 1, but this is all the same stuff, isn't it? It doesn't matter, it's all connected, y'all. Don't even stress. So, I'm going to read from chapter 1. Now I'm going to have to change here. Chapter 1. I'm going to start from verse 18. And I do have notes from verse 18. I put subtitles. Okay. For the message of the cross is foolishness to those who are perishing, but to us who are being saved, it is the power of God. For it is written, I will destroy the wisdom of the wise, the intelligence of the intelligent I will frustrate. Where is the wise person? Where is the teacher of the law? Where is the philosopher of this age? Has not God made foolish the wisdom of the world? For since the wisdom of God, the world through its wisdom did not know him. God was pleased through the foolishness of what was preached to save those who believe. Jews demand signs and Greeks look for wisdom, but we preach Christ crucified, a stumbling block to the Jews and foolishness to the Gentiles. That's funny. That's so funny. Anyways, it's as if this is fresh. But to those who God has called, both Jews and Greeks, Christ, the power of God, and the wisdom of God. For the foolishness of God is wiser than human wisdom, and the weakness of God is stronger than human strength. I highlighted that verse. And before I continue, I'm going to show you what I did underline. Things I thought were important at the time. Where am I at? Okay. Now I'm going to continue from verse 26. Brothers and sisters, think of what you were when you were called. Not many of you were wise by human standards. Not many were influential. Not many were of noble birth. And then this is where I've started to underline. But God chose the foolish things of the world to shame the wise. God chose the weak things of the world to shame the strong. God chose the lowly things of this world to despise, and the despised things, and the things that are not, to nullify the things that are, so that no one may boast before him. So I underlined, but then I underlined and highlighted, so that no one may boast before him. Verse 30. It is because of him that you are in Christ Jesus, who has become for us wisdom from God. That is our righteousness, holiness, and redemption. Therefore it is written, let the one who boast in the Lord. And that apparently is from Jeremiah 9:24. So, now let's read what I thought about it at the time. So I put, here I'm going to show you how I write. So I don't always put something like subtitles and whatever else I put, but it just depends on what I'm trying to convey. So for verse 18 I said parentheses subtitles. I'm about to reread, but I read the subtitle just now, and it says Christ crucified is God's power and wisdom. And although I've read this passage 2 other times, I wonder what this means. I mean, I know that this passage bashes the wisdom of man. I think that's what it says. I think that's what I wrote. But how does Jesus' death show God's power? Let's keep reading. That's so funny. And by the way, let's keep reading was something that I was trying to develop as a catchphrase or something. Just because when you're reading something, you don't understand it right away, that shouldn't be a reason to stop reading, but you should keep reading and keep seeking. So, yeah. But yeah, obviously you can see from me reading it and saying that I've read it before, I didn't understand, and I was Christian, and I was someone who was like seeing God in a new way. Like, what did I say? I said, how does Jesus' death show God's power? Like, how does, not really just that alone, but how does bashing the wisdom of man, like all of that stuff. Now the notes for verse 18 to 19. Okay, the wisdom part is explained here. Oh, okay. Let's read it again, precious, since it now makes sense. This one's been in my Bible. Okay. For the message of the cross is foolishness to those who are perishing, but to us who are being saved, it is the power of God. For it is written, I will destroy wisdom of the wise, and the intelligence of the intelligent I will frustrate. Okay. Verses 22 to 25. Verse 25 really does it. But I guess Paul is saying that the wisdom of God is so different from ours, as is his power. And although we don't understand it, it is superior. God's power was displayed on the cross because why? His wisdom. I really don't know, but I can sense it's the same vibe of his wisdom. I don't even know what I'm saying there. But let's see what was verse 25. Oh, it's the one that I highlighted. For the foolishness of God is wiser than human wisdom, and the weakness of God is stronger than human strength. Yeah. Verse 26. And then I put in quotations, not many were influential. And that's me quoting from there. And then I said, I guess there is power in the cross. And as we see in the next verses, I read ahead, LOL. Anyone who believes in the cross can be used. The weak, the foolish, the lowly things, and despise things. Why? So no one may boast before him. Amen for clarity. So it's clear, but it's not easy to do. I mean, I wrote this stuff in 2017, and only in 2019 am I trying to live it out. It's not easy. And then I put on the side here, influential is so heavy. I don't know what I was meaning by that, but okay. Now, afterthoughts from chapter 1. I said, I've read the last few verses so many times, I'm not going to go over it. But wow, the clarity you get from rereading things, it's lit. I didn't wait to reread everything else I've read. Okay, goodbye, JK, let's keep reading. Let's keep reading, let's keep reading. So, knowledge is one thing, practicality is another thing. I want to show you another journal that was from long ago. Not long ago, but long ago. And I'm sharing it to share that me getting to this decision wasn't because I've wanted to blah 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 drop out of school blah blah blah. Maybe it was that I wanted to drop out of school, but as addressed in several p+logs, I'm not trying to do things for myself anymore. But I'll share with you this sort of like a prayer journal that I wrote in January of 2017, January 7th. And it was a time where I was going back to school and I was stressed and I wanted clarity. I wanted direction. I didn't want to be confused. A lot of it was because my dad was talking to me in a way that was like, I wish you could see that I'm trying. This drawing that I did. This is when I was in Atlanta with my family and Uncle Paul. And Auntie Sylvia and Eric and Christian. Okay. So I was just reading whatever else I put on the side. I'm gonna read January 7th journal, just to show that before you make any decision, like, know where it's coming from. If it's coming from you and you're Christian, if it's coming from you and you're not considering God, chances are it's going to fail. Plans of man fail. I can't. But yes, when you make plans on your own thinking, on your own volition, on your own motivation, chances are it'll fail. But when you make a decision because God has called you to it, it'll be a hard journey because it is, once again, so contrary to what we would think is common sense, logical, reasonable, but it will prosper. And your heart has to be in God for that to be an easier journey. If your heart's not in God, it'll be a very difficult journey. Anyways, all of this stuff that I'm talking about, I asked for it, and it came in bits. But here's the January 7th journal, which came after my change. Came after my change in 2016, October 10th. Yeah. So I'm gonna read. What happened was we're coming back from winter break to go to Baylor. My dad was dropping me, and he was really lecturing me because the fall semester I did a bad job. And he was like, "You can't be joking around here." And I was like, "Yeah, you're right." Like, I agree with him. But I didn't see what I'm doing at Baylor. So here's the journal entry, which is more of a prayer from that day. January 7th, 2017. Normally I wouldn't be writing a journal entry in this journal, but I made this in this journal. But this is more of a prayer, so please excuse me. Hey God, what's up? I just wanted to talk about what you want to do with my life. And I know you did bring up how we shouldn't rush the pilot. It was something that came from Atlanta. You don't rush the pilot. But I'm not rushing anything. I just want to talk about what I feel you are calling me to do, since everything I feel is telling me otherwise. I'm also thinking about taking a gap year to think more about what you want to do with my life. So I wrote this in January of 2017, and I didn't take a gap year until 2018, the fall of 2018. So I'm gonna keep reading. I feel as though you are calling me to start a church. I remember when you first, or maybe the thought of ministry came to mind. Everyone was saying that I could be a minister and a teacher, but then I feel as though being in school is putting the false impression that I am failing when I know that is no longer me. My father, for example, truly doubts my story and continually compares it to my academics. I think that's what I wrote. Compares it to my academics. I know he can't help but see the world, but it is a lot of strife in the relationship. I know that only you can give my dad and many other people eyes to see the truth, which is why I am giving it all to you. And then in big font, I wrote, Lord, I am committing my life to you and you alone. And I'm going to stop there for a second. I'm laughing that I wrote that because committing to God is not easy when you're listening to everybody else who may not know what it means to commit to God fully and in a way that is unique to you. Because God has different callings on everybody, that we can all work to, like, to bringing his kingdom here. And what I mentioned here is that only he can open their eyes is true, but for some reason it was easier for me to want to and to wish for my family to see things the way I see it, by talking, and that's kind of why I liked philosophy, because it was supposed to give you confidence in how to build an argument and all those things, but no amount of argument can really persuade. It's only God who can change hearts. I'm gonna open, just, I feel like reading it. Here. No, not here. Well, I'm gonna first read 1 Corinthians 3:14, which I only know because I said in a tweet one time. No, it's dos. It's 2 Corinthians. 2 Corinthians. I said dos cor free for tea or something. I don't know. Anyways, here it is. And I'm gonna read. Oh, and this is so beautiful because I'm in a covenant with God. So it's like the subtitle says the greater glory of the new covenant. And I know it's talking about the covenant of Jesus Christ, but when you make that personal covenant with God for yourself, it is different. So I'm going to read it. I'm going to read from verse 7 though. 2 Corinthians chapter 3 verse 7. Now if the ministry that brought death, which was engraved in letters on stone, came with glory, so that the Israelites could not look steadily at the face of Moses because of its glory, transitory though it was, will not the ministry of the Spirit be even more glorious? If the ministry that brought condemnation was glorious, how much more glorious is the ministry that brings righteousness? For what was glorious has no glory now in comparison with the surpassing glory. And if what was transitory came with glory, how much greater is the glory of that which lasts? I circled a lot of words. I circled even more glorious. No glory in comparison. Transitory came with glory. Talking about the tablets. But glory, and then I circled glory which lasts. So I was trying to emphasize that there's a contrast in this old covenant versus new covenant. The old covenant came with glory, yes, but in comparison to what we now have access to, it is nothing. So if you keep holding on to stuff like, oh yeah, the Ten Commandments said this, so only the Old Testament, only that, then you're really cutting yourself so much short for what you have the potential to receive from God. And it's something that lasts forever. That's the nature of God. It is something that lasts forever. So if you're once again going for things that are temporary, things that are only to bring condemnation, things that are to bring death, because that's what it was judgment, then you're cutting yourself short. Now I'm going to continue reading from verse 12.